Are you expecting more of your colleagues to come forward and talk about their discontent, I guess, with the pipeline MOU?
You should ask my colleagues. I can't speak on their behalf.
Have you been hearing any concerns?
I'm sorry? I think the economics of world energy are changing. There's obviously still a demand for oil, but if you look at the reports from the International Energy Agency, this demand is going to peak very soon. And you can debate, is it 2028, is it 2030, but is it worth investing billions of dollars? And I think that's why we haven't seen any proponents of the project, whether to the south or to the west coast. There's no companies right now that are willing to put this money because the future prospect of being able to make this a lucrative business are diminishing.
Est-ce que ça aide ou ça nuit la souveraineté canadienne d'avoir un pipeline qui va à la côte pacifique d'Alberta?
C'est un peu ce que je disais à votre collègue. Lorsqu'on regarde les rapports, par exemple, de l'Agence internationale de l'énergie, on se dirige vers un monde où la demande en pétrole va plafonner. On peut débattre, est-ce que c'est 2028, 2030? Alors, est-ce que ça vaut la peine d'investir dans une infrastructure énergétique qui coûte des milliards de dollars, alors qu'on n'est pas certain qu'on sera capable de rentabiliser ça?
Why are you staying in the caucus? Why are you staying in the Liberal caucus if you disagree with this policy and the direction the government's going?
In our parliamentary system, if you're a member of a cabinet and you disagree with a decision or a policy from your government, then the obvious thing to do is to quit cabinet. That's what I did. But I'm still a member of the Liberal Party, and I still want to contribute to the many causes that I have worked on for many years.
They're reversing them all. They're going to build a pipeline and take down the carbon tax.
As I said to your, my apologies. As I said to your colleagues, I sincerely doubt that the new pipeline will ever get built. We still have carbon pricing, and we will continue having an industrial carbon pricing. But I disagree with some of the fundamental elements in this memorandum of understanding. I think we are putting a lot on the table and getting nothing in return. This idea that we're somehow winning because Alberta's going to increase its industrial price, they need to do that under the federal system anyway. The Pathways project, I believe in carbon capture and storage. The IPCC says we need it, but it's only going to sequester 12% of the oil sands emission. So this idea that we will have decarbonized oil in the Alberta oil sand is not true. Less emitting, but not zero.
Il aurait dû augmenter quand même, mais en ce moment, on dit tout le monde qu'il est officiellement à 95 $, donc comme le prix fédéral, mais que dans les faits, il est juste à 25 $. Donc, dans les faits, on aurait pu continuer avec un prix réel bien en deçà du prix fédéral.
Non, parce que le gouvernement fédéral a l'obligation de s'assurer que les provinces qui ont leur propre système, que ce système-là soit équivalent.
Mais il ne l'était déjà pas, puis on l'acceptait.
L'Alberta a récemment apporté des changements à son système qui fait qu'effectivement, le prix effectif, le prix payé a beaucoup diminué. C'est la responsabilité du gouvernement fédéral, spécifiquement du ministère de l'Environnement, de s'assurer que les provinces rencontrent le standard minimum du prix sur la pollution, ce que l'Alberta ne fait pas présentement, ce que la Saskatchewan ne fait pas présentement, et le gouvernement fédéral a l'obligation, en vertu de nos propres lois et règlements, de s'assurer que les prix des provinces soient conformes au standard minimum fédéral.
Il ne l'a pas fait?
Non.
Est-ce que vous êtes que Marc Miller est la bonne personne pour prendre vos responsabilités aux langues officielles, considérant ses propos et ses positions sur le déclin du français au Québec?
Moi, je suis un fan de Marc Miller. C'est un ami. Je trouve que c'est un excellent ministre. Et on n'a qu'à regarder les ministères où il a passé, notamment en service aux Autochtones. C'est assez rare dans l'histoire qu'on a vu des groupes autochtones s'attrister du départ d'un ministre et de saluer son travail. Alors moi, j'ai entièrement confiance en lui.
Is Minister Hodgson the right salesperson for the pipeline to convince First Nations to get aboard?
I think... I was at the Assembly of First Nations yesterday. I think we've all seen the unanimous resolution by the Assembly of First Nations against the MOU. I think that we can't, as a government, say that the involvement of Indigenous peoples is a priority and not consult them on things like this memorandum of understanding, not even reach out to them before the MOU was announced. I worked on a large conservation project on the Great Bear Sea in British Columbia. I went to spend a week there to meet with the communities, to make sure that I understood their vision and what they wanted for this project. I think that's how you build strong relations.
Is it too late to meet them now? It sounds like
I can't answer that question. You have to ask them.
Vous avez dit que votre parti avait le politique pour cet accord-là avec l'Alberta. C'est ce que vous avez dit à Simone. Je peux vous sortir la boîte exactement. Vous avez dit exactement ça. Alors, comment est-ce que vous allez faire pour convaincre les Québécois, entre autres les Québécois, mais aussi les gens de Britanniques, que votre parti a encore un pays?
Je ne sais pas si c'est exactement ça que j'ai dit, mais on peut débattre de ça. Cela étant, c'est vrai que présentement, pour la majeure partie des gens, l'environnement n'est pas une priorité. Mais il y a 18 à 20 de la population au pays pour qui c'est la priorité. Et beaucoup de ces gens-là ont voté pour nous lors de la dernière campagne électorale. Alors, nous avons une responsabilité envers ces gens-là de nous assurer que nous représentons toujours ce pourquoi ils nous ont élus. Et dans bien des cas, je pense qu'ils nous ont prêté leur vote parce que ce n'est pas nécessairement des gens qui traditionnellement votent libéral. Ils ont décidé de le faire la dernière fois. Je pense qu'il est important pour nous qu'on soit capable de continuer à mériter ce vote-là. Merci.
Monsieur Miller, qu'est-ce que vous avez pensé des propos de M. Legault hier?
C'est vrai que ça me laisse, c'était surprenant. C'est bizarre en plus parce que j'ai fait partie d'un gouvernement qui a reconnu le déclin du français partout au Canada, inclus le Québec, puis a modifié la loi sur les langues officielles. En conséquence, en plus de se doter d'un programme de 4,1 millions de dollars, puis dans mon rôle précédent comme ministre de l'Immigration, j'ai doublé l'immigration francophone au Canada, puis j'ai envoyé 800 millions de dollars au Québec, justement pour la francisation. Alors, je pense que c'est beau de parler, mais j'ai fait mes preuves, puis c'est des preuves qui parlent pour elles-mêmes.
Mais est-ce que le choix de mots,
Faut pas personnaliser.
Non, mais le tanner.
Je veux pas personnaliser les débats. Ça, simplement. No, I said what I said, and I think I've proved in my previous roles that in doubling French immigration in Canada, which is something the federal government had never done, and been part of a government that recognized the decline of the French language across Canada and modified the law on official languages as a result, plus the $4 million investment, and send $800 million to Quebec for francization of new arrivals. It's nice to talk, but actions count, and I think I've proved myself.
Mais est-ce que le choix de mots...
Pensez-vous que c'est important d'entendre Jean Chrétien s'expliquer en comité sur l'opération de citoyenneté réalisée par le comité de l'immigration?
Si M. Chrétien me le demande, je pense pas que M. Chrétien devrait participer dans une chasse aux sourcières vieille de...
Ça vous intéresse pas d'entendre?
There was a confidence vote yesterday. There's supposed to be a confidence vote. It didn't happen. When's the next confidence vote?
We don't know. We'll stay tuned.
Why didn't the one yesterday happen?
Pardon me?
Why didn't the confidence vote happen earlier this week?
Well, the debate has to collapse on the second reading.
Juste sur la chasse aux sorcières dont vous parlez, il y a quand même des libéraux au comité qui ont appuyé cette demande.
Ils étaient impuissants de défaire la motion, donc...
Qu'est-ce qui bloque avec C9 en comité, là? Est-ce qu'on va voir ça dans cette session-ci?
Je le souhaite ardemment. C'est un excellent projet de loi qui est appuyé par les intervenants, par le milieu, qui protège les gens, qui se regroupent autour ou qui tentent d'aller vers des endroits religieux et autres. Donc, je ne sais pas pourquoi les oppositions s'acharnent à vouloir retarder ce
Le Bloc québécois a l'air de vouloir tenir beaucoup à cet amendement sur l'exemption religieuse. Y êtes-vous ouvert?
On est toujours ouvert à tout amendement, à toute proposition. Je pense que le Bloc québécois leur suggestion pourrait s'avérer quelque chose de constructif et on va
Mais pourquoi
continuer
vous
de
ne le dites
dialoguer.
pas? Là, on est là, on est là. Vous gardez le suspense et on se demande un peu pourquoi.
Bien, écoutez, nous avons un projet de loi que nous croyons bon tel qu'il est et on va continuer de dialoguer avec les oppositions. On est minoritaire, donc on doit absolument trouver un compromis.
It sounds like there's no real agreement yet between the Liberals and the Bloc on C9, right? Like, are you okay with this amendment?
C9 is an excellent piece of legislation. It protects protects worshippers, it protects people. It's been requested by many people in society, and we certainly hope that the opposition gets on with the job.
Êtes-vous tanné de parler de déclin français au Québec?
Pardon?
Est-ce que vous êtes tanné de parler de déclin français?
Moi, je suis francophone, je suis quelqu'un qui a élevé ses enfants en français, qui les a éduqués au Québec et en français, qui parle français à la maison. Je m'inquiète, comme tout Québécois, comme tout francophone, du sort de la langue française et je mets beaucoup d'énergie à tous les jours dans la sauvegarde de la langue.
How do you feel about a Canadian company sending armored vehicles to ICE?
You have to talk to the minister about that.
What do you think of François Legault attacking your colleague yesterday, saying what he said was a disgrace to Quebecers?
I don't have a lot to say about that, but I think Mr. Legault has some interesting opinions sometimes.
Est-ce que c'est des conneries ce que M. Miller a dit hier? C'est les mots que François Legault a employés hier. Il a dit que c'était des conneries.
M. Legault a parfois des opinions intéressantes.
Oh, well, look, I mean, we're at the start of a long process. There's not even a specific project yet to react to, so I think we're going to have to wait and see how this all comes out in the wash.
What's your understanding of how long it should take or could take to reach that $130 per ton industrial carbon price from Alberta?
Well, that's part of the negotiation to come. The MOU sets out timelines to set what that time schedule looks like. I think it's April 1st. I'm just going from memory here. And so we'll see then, but yeah, hopefully soon.
I was going to say, do you think that 130, that minimum price should come into effect sooner rather than later? I know these are subject to negotiations.
Yeah.
But what's your preference?
Well, the devil's always in the details because this is about an effective price. So the effective price is often quite different from the sticker price. Just look at right now, the effective price in Alberta is around $25 a ton. So this is a significant ramping up from there. So it will take some time. There's no doubt about that in my mind. But yeah, it comes down to the details, what's covered, stringency, all of that.
The oil patch is being asked to pay for pathways and potentially for a pipeline at the same time, while oil prices are actually kind of low. Are you concerned the market might crush both of these projects?
I think that the oil sector has a pretty good long horizon on these things. They understand where the world's going. They understand that low carbon oil is going to be in demand, particularly with our allies in Europe. So no, I think we'll be able to figure it out. And there's ways to bow wave that as well.
Do you think a pipeline proponent will come forward?
Oh yeah, I absolutely do.
How come?
Well, because fundamentally it's a good product and fundamentally it's a strong market. And so if we can find a way to do that at low carbon, then I think that there's huge opportunities for Canadians.
How confident are you can reach a compromise with First Nations when they just passed a resolution at the AFN yesterday saying the tanker ban is not on the table?
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm still quite confident. It is early in this process. I think everybody's shown some willingness to talk here, including various First Nations. And the reality is, you know, you could actually build a pipeline to the west without even addressing the tanker ban. The MOU says, if necessary, we'll review this, but it doesn't say for sure this is.
Are you confident in Tim Hodgson being the interlocutor? Are you confident in Tim Hodgson's skills speaking to First Nations?
Oh, Tim is incredible, especially in small group meetings. The fellow is just an expert at negotiations, and I think that, yeah, I'm very, very confident in Tim. He's a wonderful man.
Do you think that Premier Eby will be on board if your government excludes the tanker ban?
Look, I saw some reporting maybe to that effect. I don't know. I haven't talked to the premiers directly or specifically about this particular matter, but I think what we have is a common understanding of all of the premiers across the country that we need to strengthen this country. We need to strengthen our sovereignty from the United States. We need to strengthen our economy. We need to strengthen environmental regulations. We all have the same net zero goals, and I think that's space for a deal.
Jenny Collins says that she's talked to your BC Liberal colleagues and that there have huge concerns that they've expressed to her to the point that she isn't even sure whether they might follow Guilbeault, for example. Are you hearing from BC Liberal colleagues?
No, look, it's a diverse caucus. There's a diversity of views. We all want to do the right thing. We all want to develop in an environmentally responsible way. But no, I'm not hearing anything like that.
How do you think caucus gets united on this? You seem to think that there could be a pipeline proponent that comes forward. Yeah. Other members of your caucus say, I don't think it's very likely. Some say the MOU says nothing about consent. Others say consent is a red line. So how do you think caucus gets united on even the messaging of this?
Yeah, well, I mean, the MOU starts with the importance of engaging First Nations, for sure. But also, I think we need to be clear that we're talking about different things that sort of ven over each other. A pipeline to the west coast is one thing. A pipeline to the north coast is a different thing. You know, the idea of proponent might be behind one and not the other is not crazy. But really, it's so early in the process. We're going to have to wait and see how this all comes out. Thank you.
Thank you.
The U.S. is relaunching CUSMA review, do you have any concerns about how that review may go for Canada?
Well, I think every Canadian has concerns about how the review may go for Canada. This was the focal point of the election. It's what my constituents are concerned about. I live 10 minutes from the border. It's fundamentally concerning for everyone.
What do you think?
Do you think we'll get a bilateral deal on some of these sectoral tariffs before the CUSMA review starts, or is that shot now?
I don't think anything's shot. I know both sides want to have deals. I met with the U.S. ambassador a couple weeks ago. He seemed that he wants deals between Canada and the United States. We'll see what those are, and I don't know what's before Canada and Minister Lalonde, but I have to ask him.
What do you think of this proposal to remove religious exemptions from Canada's hate speech laws? There's been some say that needs to happen. There's been other concerns from stakeholders, Muslim, Christian groups. Where do you stand on this?
I think we need to get through legislation to protect individuals. We've seen a rise in hate crime in this country for far too long, and we need legislation coming forward. It's good to see the parties working together. I haven't, unfortunately, driven down into the how this will fit within the Charter. I'm sure it will be argued before the courts, but I think we need to see something strong, especially for Jewish and Muslim groups in this country who are facing increased amounts of hate.
Do you have any
concerns? Do you think that a Canadian company should be sending tanks to ICE?
I think we have a free trade agreement with the United States, and that Canada needs to abide by that, especially if there's concerns about renegotiation of NAFTA or CUSMA.
But you mentioned that your constituents are really worried about these tariffs. I mean, the talks have been stalled. The Prime Minister said that those trade negotiations have not restarted. Do you think it's on the Prime Minister to get those trade negotiations
When he goes to DC in 2 days?
It's a two-way street. We can't. I know there's a lot of people in the Conservative Party who will blame the Prime Minister solely for this. This is a trade war that's been started by the United States, the President of the United States, and so it will take both sides. Their economy needs us. We need them more. We're a smaller economy, but we supply a lot of what the United States needs, and I'm sure common sense, even though it seems at many points through this trade war will not prevail, it will have to. Thank you so much.
They started a trade war with us and we should still send them tanks. What?
Mr. Erskine-Smith, do you think that Canada should be sending vehicles to ICE in the United States right now?
I didn't see that story.
There are reports that Brampton Firm is going to send armored vehicles to ICE in the United States. Do you think that's something that the government should be, Canada should be doing?
My instinctive reaction is I do not feel good about that, but let me look into it and I'll provide fuller comment once I read about it.
How is your caucus going to stay united with the MOU thing, dividing the prospect of a coastal pipeline, upending the tanker ban, the concerns from the AFN? How is all of this going to drive a wedge between the BC MPs and the environmentalists in your party and the rest of it?
I'm less concerned about the politics of it and more what's the thoughtful, substantive debate, where's the right answer, and how do we have that thoughtful, constructive conversation. I mean, the fact that Steven is still in caucus, I think is an important message to say he didn't have solidarity around the cabinet decision, but he's an important voice in that room. I feel that way sometimes where I disagree with the government, but I think it's important to have that constructive, thoughtful conversation. So I'm less worried about this, there's a lack of unity. It's more let's be serious and thoughtful. Yeah. Thanks.
Est-ce que le choix de M. Miller ne vient pas mettre de l'huile sur le feu? Vous trouvez qu'il est allé trop loin, M. Legault, dans sa réaction?
Moi, je pense qu'au-delà de M. Legault, pour toute la classe politique, il est toujours important de se concentrer sur les idées, de laisser les personnes de côté, puis c'est ce que j'entends continuer de faire. Merci beaucoup.
Mr. Maloney, do you support this idea of removing the religious defense option from Canada's hate speech laws?
I'm the chair of the committee. I'm going to see how things unfold.
What happened yesterday?
We had a 2-hour committee meeting. What do you mean, what happened yesterday?
Why is it stalled? The committee seemed at some point to be willing to meet until later in the night to get through clause by clause, and then there was an adjournment, so what happened?
No, the committee schedule set from 3:30 to 5:30, which it did. We were prepared to go longer if necessary. The committee decided it wasn't necessary to do that yesterday, that's all.
What do you make of this idea of even this committee tackling this question of removing religious defenses from Canada's hate speech laws?
Well, look, I'm the chair of the committee now, so like I said, we'll let the things unfold as they will at the committee, and people will have their say.
Is there an actual agreement between the Liberals and the Bloc on this? Like, is it set in stone? What's going on there?
I'm not aware of anything. Yeah, look, as I said, I chair the committee. I make sure things run smoothly, and that's my responsibility.
Are they smoothly?
Well, let me put it this way. I became the chair yesterday. It was the best meeting we had as chair. So.
Okay, all right. No, I think they did run very smoothly.
Good morning. Could you Liberals do not have any concerns about the MOU. Do you have any concerns about the MOU?
No, I think this is good for Canada. I think it's good for everybody. I think there will be all the consultation that people require. I think that this is basically good news.
What about the tanker ban? Do you think that you could build a pipeline without lifting the tanker ban?
Well, we'll have to see. That's beyond my knowledge, but we'll have to see.
What do you think about proposal to remove religious defense from hate speech? Is that opening a can of worms for the government?
I don't believe so, no.
How come?
I don't believe it.
Do you support it? There's a report in the National Post this week that the Liberals have already agreed to do this to get the bloc support on Bill C-9. Can you just get your thoughts on this?
Honestly, Mark, I really haven't followed it. So I'm not in a position to offer much commentary of substance. So maybe you can brief me a little bit more about what you're hearing, but I haven't been following it this week.
So you have no just in general about speech laws? Like you don't, like there's the religious exemption on two of the...
Right, you're talking about like the ability for a religious leader to say something that could be perceived as hateful, but essentially be shielded by a freedom
if in
of
good
religious
faith
speech.
it was,
yes. This is the type of sensitive discussion that I really want to come prepared to a conversation with a journalist about, having thought about it, analyzed it, talked to people in my constituency, and I haven't done that, so I'd be disingenuous to try to offer you anything beyond that.
Do you think the government is prepared?
Well, I think I've just told Mark that I don't have enough information.
But do you think this government is?
Well, what I'm saying to Mark is I don't have enough information, meaning I'm not following it particularly closely, meaning I wouldn't be in a position to tell you whether others are following it closely or not.
Can I ask you about the Alberta MOU, the part about enhanced oil recovery and Canada committing to ensuring that ITCs apply to enhanced oil recovery? There's a line in the budget that specifically said that enhanced oil recovery would not apply to ITCs, and 10 days after the budget passed in this MOU we see it in there. Are you worried that the budget has any substance, or even how can Canadians be confident that anything in the budget...
You're getting pretty granular now. I would probably defer to Minister DeBruce.
Okay. So I'll ask you more broadly then. Sure. There's a budget line item that said we will not do this. 10 days later in the Alberta MOU, it happened. Does the budget hold the paper that it's printed on?
Like I said, I'd defer to Minister DeBruce on that. I'd have to take a look more closely at what you're referring to, and I haven't had a chance to do that.
They just brought it up. It's the first time I heard of that specific item yesterday, and I'd like to consult with people in my community, just different, many community members and religious groups, and get their feedback. But I think that hate is hate, and as the former minister for anti-racism in Ontario, this is an important issue for me. So I'm going to look for ways to consult the community and figure out exactly what is the root arguments in this specific issue.
Do you think this is the type of change that should be brought forward in a committee based off of an agreement with the Bloc Québécois to try to get their support on the bill, or do you think this is something that should have, if the government was considering it, should have been in the original bill? So that it could be more scrutinized?
Yeah, I wasn't at the committee and I didn't read the transcript, but I will. I think that committee is the place where everything can be brought forward, issues can be debated, and that's what Parliament's for.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Exemptions from Canada's hate speech laws. What do you think your constituents would?
I stopped because I thought you wanted to talk about FIFA on Friday.
Okay, well, tell me what are you? Well, how about you answer my question first, then we can talk about FIFA.
I don't have an opinion. I haven't looked into it, but I am very excited to go down to Washington D.C. with the Prime Minister on Friday to attend the draw for FIFA, so we can determine which countries will be competing where. It's an exciting time for our country, hosting the world's biggest event next year, and I think the FIFA tournament and the Congress, which will precede the tournament, are going to be just great for sports diplomacy and bringing the country together.
What kind of preparations, like on your end, have to be happening now, like ahead of the World Cup?
Well, the first and primary concern is safety and security, and making sure that it is a huge success, and making sure that everybody that attends, from the players and the coaches all the way down to the fans and people who will be in the fan fests enjoying the public viewing areas that will be set up, that it's safe and secure and that it's fun, because that's what it's all about. So my meetings are mostly with colleagues that are focused on that, on the safety and security aspect. But there's a lot of people coming and going as well. So my meetings have been with IRCC and CBSA, and just focusing on how this can build the economy and this can grow our national GDP. It's also a great way to meet new countries and create new relationships. So it's all very good.
The U.S. or the new New York mayor says he wants to do something with the cap ticket prices.
anything on your end in terms of concern about those prices can be so great. We saw how, during the World Series, for example, on the secondary market, how they just kind of surged in prices.
Yeah, the secondary market concern is something that I'm very alive to, and I would like to see better safeguards on the secondary market for ticket sales, not just for FIFA, but across the board. I think that the best way to enjoy the World Cup next year is probably going to be in a public area, because Canada's stadiums are actually very small. We need a large format stadium. Most college and university cities in the United States have a bigger college stadium than the biggest stadium in Canada. So the best part about hosting FIFA isn't necessarily being in the stadium, it's the vibe. It's going to be an amazing vibe in Canada. So we certainly want to make sure that it's accessible for everybody. And just yesterday they announced that families can apply to have their children be ball, I don't know what to say, ball bearers. But that's going to be a really exciting thing. You've seen FIFA games before where the players come out with a young athlete. So it's an exciting time for Canada, the United States, and Mexico, and I'm excited to go down to Washington on Friday with the Prime Minister.
What do you think? I don't know. I don't have a good comment, so I won't say anything.
Do you think this is a smart path for the government to even consider going down? I know it's wanted to legislate against hate. No one's questioning the police reported rise in hate, but getting into areas of religious texts and what may or may not be allowed in a defense, broadly, is that a smart path for the government to go down?
I'm afraid you're asking the wrong guy, because I don't have a lot of insight into this. Sorry.
Has what the Prime Minister said, what ministers have said, assured you that everything's okay and they're not going to piss off your constituents?
I mean, look, what the Prime Minister has said, that any pipeline is going to require the consent of First Nations and the province, and I think that's really important for discussing anything like these kinds of projects. So.
Can I ask you, on the government flipping so quickly with regards to enhanced oil recovery applying to ITCs, any concerns about how quickly the government flipped its stance, considering the budget had a line in there saying that enhanced oil recovery would not apply to tax credits?
I mean, I think that's a really important thing that the Prime Minister will have to answer about, because, I mean, we've had a pretty clear stance on not having or having a policy to phase out inefficient fossil fuel subsidies, and that very much seems like a step in that.
So why should we?
I got to run to it.
Here we go. Am I going to get in the picture?
Yeah, it's true. I did say that. I said that. Yes. So, and I'm a man of my words also.
You are. Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm just pulling up my question for my colleagues.
You on?
Your budget has a line specifically saying that enhanced oil recovery is not going to be eligible for tax credits, and that's contradicted in the MOU. Can you square that?
I would have to get back to you specifically on that question to make sure that we can give you the most appropriate answer. But I think what you found in the budget is that there's a number of tax credit. I would say we're probably in the G7, the country which has offered the most competitive tax environment for clean technology when it comes to natural resources. So I would say that Canada is well positioned to be a responsible and also a sustainable producer of natural resources, because honestly, when you compare to the G7, you look at Canada, you'd say thumbs up, because no one has the suite of tax credit we have, whether it's respect to hydrogen, whether it's about CC, carbon capture and sequestration, whether it's about clean electricity, whether it's about critical minerals. So we have a very large, I would say, portfolio of tax incentive. But specifically to your question, I'm happy to come back to you.
And can I ask you as well about going to the AFN? Why are you heading there?
Because they invited me, and so I'm very delighted. I'm told by the Assembly of First Nation chief that I'm the first finance minister to appear there, so I'm looking forward to that. It's very important because as we build this country, First Nations are and Indigenous people are part of the fabric of Canada. So how do we move forward together? How we build things together? I can tell you, for example, the Indigenous Loan Guarantee is a hallmark of Canada. The G7 countries all look at Canada and say, wow, this is a great way to make sure that First Nation can be part of building these major projects in the country. So I think it's going to be, there's a lot of good news in the budget for Indigenous people, and certainly looking forward to engage. I was with them yesterday and we'll be with them tomorrow.
Minister, the head of Algoma said that the federal government and Ontario government knew about their business plan to cut cut jobs, or at least to readjust the workforce when they did get that money from the federal and provincial government. Did you know, and what did you say about that plan to cut jobs?
Well, what I can say, what I know is that without federal support, Algoma would not be in the position that they are today, because what we needed to do was to make sure we support Algoma, first for the workers, and secondly for pivoting to a different technology. What we did with the Ontario government was really to step up, do our part to make sure that we support the workers and support the industry as they're pivoting to their new method of producing steel, which is the electric arc furnace, which was a plan they had and would ultimately make Algoma more competitive. Now, what we need to do, priority number one, is to work with the workers and make sure we support them. We have work-sharing programs in place. But what I can tell you is that I know that if it was not for the federal government, with our provincial partners stepping in, Algoma would not be in the position they are today.
But why give them money if you knew that they were going to cut jobs?
Well, what I'm saying is that if it was not for federal and provincial support, the situation at Algoma would be far different today.
I do need to take him because we have a commitment with some international parliamentarians. So I don't mean to be rude. You can reach out anytime. Happy to do it.
But what I'm saying is that if it was not for the support, the situation at Algoma would be dire today, more challenging than what you see. So that's why we step up to make sure we can do our part to assure the long-term sustainability of Algoma. Merci. Merci.
How many guns has your program bought back? You're running that pilot in Cape Breton. How many guns have you bought?
Look, the pilot's complete. We will be reporting on that in the near future. What I can report is that logistically the system works. We were able to fix a couple of the glitches that existed. So
we're hearing you got 22 guns. Is that accurate?
Look, I think I can give you further details on it over the coming weeks. Right now, it's suffice to say that the pilot has been completed, and we're satisfied with the logistical outcomes, and the system itself is ready to go, and we look forward to rolling this out over the coming weeks.
Can I ask, why are the gun marketing regulations being delayed to 2027?
Look, I think there's a number of different pieces to build C21, as you're aware. So we are working through the regulations, and there's a number of regulations that will be coming forward very shortly.
But why are they being delayed to 2027? I mean, I think that since the Liberals have been in power, they've been delayed every year that the Liberals have been in government. So can you answer why is it being delayed to 2027?
Well, I think from a timing perspective, I think that's something we have contemplated, and at this time we didn't feel appropriate to bring that forward.
Why not? What was your
the key thing for us is to launch the compensation program, and that is our primary and singular focus, and we will look forward to its launch in the coming weeks.
Are you working with the Conservatives at all on C2 to get that passed, or is there any negotiations happening on your side?
Well, I think the two elements of C2 that are still on the books we look forward to advancing it, especially lawful access. We don't have any indication from the Conservatives formally that they want to move forward with lawful access in particular. The overwhelming response we've had from law enforcement is that this is an essential tool for them to do their jobs more effectively. When we talk about the suite of changes that we bring forward to the criminal code, a very important aspect of that is the ability of law enforcement to do its investigation in the context of modern technology that that appears to be evolving by the day. We are the only G7 Five Eyes countries not to have a lawful access regime, so we do look forward to advancing that legislation.
What do you make of Conservatives not backing this, considering Harper wanted lawful access?
Well, it's deeply disappointing, and I think it's important that when we talk about criminal justice reform, when we talk about the ability of our law enforcement to do its job effectively, lawful access is a central part of that. And you can talk to any police chief, any police association, and they will reaffirm that.
The National Security Intelligence Review Agency, NSIR, says it won't be able to do as many reviews because of spending cuts that your government has brought in. How can you cut back this agency when you're expecting CSIS and RCMP to do more work, and you're granting those agencies more powers?
Look, the comprehensive expenditure review took place over a number of months. The proposals that were put forward require many agencies to have a view of reducing their expenditures. Like many organizations within government, and CIRA is one that will be impacted. And I can assure you that the work that we did is to ensure that our core operations, core functions of law enforcement is secure. So if you look at CSIS, if you look at the RCMP, CBSA, we are ensuring that frontline law enforcement is not impacted. I have had a conversation with the chairman CIRA, and I look forward to working with them to ensure that, that while there will be expenditure reductions, it's not in areas that will impact their core function.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Quickly, because I'm late for a meeting and I was generous with my time this morning.
Sounds good. The only thing I wanted to ask you was on the ITCs, and particularly the conversations you had with the Prime Minister after realizing that the enhanced oil recovery was part of that. What did the Prime Minister tell you as far as the flip-flopping that the government did on that issue when it came to the MOU?
I won't comment on what the Prime Minister may or may not have said, but you can ask him or his office.
We've been trying.
All I can say is that we had made an agreement as a party with Elizabeth May from the Greens that we were not going to include this in the budget. In fact, there's a specific line in the budget that said that it's not included.
384, I think.
Yeah, and she supported the budget in part because of that. And I feel that it's a betrayal for us to change our mind like this 2 weeks later, basically, and put it in agreement with this MOU with Alberta.
Do you think the Prime Minister has to answer to Canadians, not just on that particular issue, but flipping something within a budget document so quickly after it was presented?
Again, you should ask the Prime Minister. Thank you.
Chartrand, can we quickly have a chance to speak with you on ends? I want to talk to you about the MOU, consultation, and resignation. What do you think your government needs to do differently? Because clearly, First Nations are not happy with this whole process.
Well, I think the main thing is that this is an MOU. It's not a final agreement.
Sorry, do you mind just coming to the camera?
Yeah. So this is an MOU. It's a framework for a discussion. It's not a final agreement, and there's still a lot of work to do.
But we heard at the AFN, and you're probably heading there, that they are totally unanimously opposed to the MOU.
But we also heard that there was an openness for dialogue and that the Prime Minister was reaching out to set up those meetings. So I think there's still a lot of work to do. And I trust our Prime Minister. I think he knows what he's doing. And, we're committed to Section 35 and duty to consult, and we'll continue to follow through with that.
Really quickly, speaking on trust, so there's a part in the budget that said that enhanced oil recovery would not apply to investment tax credits, and that the MOU, 10 days after it was voted on in the House, completely flips that position. Speaking about trust, why should Canadians trust that anything else that's in the budget will be adhered to?
Yeah, so I think on that, you probably want to talk to Minister de Brussen, so that is her ministry to discuss with. Thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you. Thanks, Minister.
The pilots voted overwhelmingly to go on strike, and I wanted to know how worried are you? Are you concerned about this at all?
Well, if anyone knows labor negotiations, I do, and I know that there's a pattern here, and we obviously hope they get a deal at the table.
But in terms of transport, everybody should be concerned over the holidays because they could go on strike as early as the 10th.
Again, this is a labor management issue. I sincerely hope, and I know the Minister for Labor is following it closely. We obviously hope they get a deal at the table.